Increase your following distance when A. Driving behind a large vehicle that blocks your vision. B. Exiting an expressway. C. Following a motorcycle. D. All of the above. Defensive driving is A. Identifying dangerous driving situations and taking action to avoid accidents. B. Defending yourself against poor drivers by getting ahead of them in traffic. C. Following the vehicle ahead of you at a close distance. D. Quickly changing lanes and shifting in and out of traffic congestion. A. Identifying dangerous driving situations and taking action to avoid accidents. You drive defensively when you identify dangerous driving situations and take action before an accident occurs. Defensive driving helps prevent conflicts with aggressive, offensive, discourteous, careless, inattentive, impulsive, ignorant, or intoxicated drivers or pedestrians. This sign means A. No left turn. B. Flagger ahead. C. Two-way left turn. D. Turn right or go through. A. No left turn. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign means that left turns are prohibited. When driving past a vehicle that has just stopped in a parked position on the side of the road, you should A. Assume that the driver will open the car door as you approach. B. Speed up. C. Slam on your brakes. D. Assume that the driver will wait for you to pass before opening the door. A. Assume that the driver will open the car door as you approach. When passing a vehicle that has just parked parallel to the road, you should assume the driver will open the door as you approach. Use extra caution when driving near parked vehicles.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
To safely pass a bicycle, you should A. Honk at the bicyclist to let them know you're trying to pass. B. Drive in the bicycle lane until you get a chance to pass. C. Slow down and give them as much space as possible. D. Rush ahead to pull in front of the bicyclist. C. Slow down and give them as much space as possible. When passing a bicyclist, slow down and give them as much space as you can. Bicyclists have much less protection than drivers of motor vehicles and they should not be crowded. Passing a bicycle too quickly can shift the bicyclist off course. During normal weather and traffic conditions, keep a minimum following distance of A. 1 second. B. 2 seconds. C. 3 to 4 seconds. D. 5 seconds. This road sign means A. Steep grade ahead. B. Pedestrian crossing ahead. C. Low ground railroad crossing. D. Low clearance. D. Low clearance. This sign indicates that the overpass ahead has a low clearance. You should not proceed if your vehicle is taller than the height shown on the sign, in this case, 13 feet 6 inches. A seat belt should be adjusted so that it A. Is loose. B. Is buckled snugly across your hip bones and lower abdomen. C. Is hidden beneath the seat. D. Keeps the seat belt buzzer or light from operating. B. Is buckled snugly across your hip bones and lower abdomen. Lap belts should fit snugly across your hip bones and the lower part of your abdomen. Shoulder belts should sit comfortably so that you can insert your fist between the belt and your chest. A solid yellow line on your side of the center line means A. Slow down. B. Pass with caution. C. Do not pass. D. Keep right on hills. C. Do not pass. A solid yellow line next to your lane means that passing is not permitted from your direction. This sign means A. Emergency vehicles ahead. B. Uncontrolled intersection ahead. C. Four-way stop ahead. D. Traffic signal ahead. D. Traffic signal ahead. This sign warns that a traffic signal is ahead. Allowing a space cushion between your vehicle and its surroundings is important because it A. Prevents distractions from other vehicles. B. Allows you time to react to unexpected situations. C. Keeps traffic flowing at a safe pace. D. Keeps other drivers alert. B. Allows you time to react to unexpected situations. The only way to be sure you will have enough time to react to mistakes made by other drivers is to leave plenty of space between you and the vehicles around you. A bicyclist who doesn't obey traffic laws? A. Is in the right because bicyclists don't have to obey traffic laws. B. Can be ticketed. C. Will always receive a warning from law enforcement. D. Will have their bicycle impounded. B. Can be ticketed. All bicyclists have the same rights, duties, and responsibilities as drivers of motor vehicles. Motorists and bicyclists who do not obey traffic laws can be ticketed. What does this road sign mean? A. Slow down and prepare to stop if cars are approaching you. B. Come to a full stop and go when it is safe to do so. C. Proceed carefully through the intersection, not always stopping. D. Stop only for traffic on an intersecting road. B. Come to a full stop and go when it is safe to do so. A stop sign means that you must come to a full stop and yield the right of way to vehicles and pedestrians in or heading toward the intersection. Go again when it is safe. What do speed limit signs indicate? A. Potential driving speeds for the area. B. The maximum or minimum speed that is legally allowed to be driven. C. The speed drivers should drive in heavy traffic. D. The speed drivers should drive under poor conditions. B. The maximum or minimum speed that is legally allowed to be driven. Speed limit signs indicate the maximum or minimum safe speed that is allowed to be driven on a roadway. The maximum limits are for ideal conditions and you must reduce your speed when conditions require it. If a crossing guard is directing traffic in a school zone, you must A. Follow the directions given by the crossing guard. B. Copy what surrounding traffic is doing, despite the crossing guard's instructions. C. Assume the guard is not supposed to be directing traffic. D. Follow rules that would be in place if no children were present. A. Follow the directions given by the crossing guard. Be prepared to reduce your speed and use caution when directed to do so by a sign, crossing guard, or law enforcement officer. Always drive with extra caution in a school zone. When you hear the siren or see the flashing lights of an approaching emergency vehicle, you must A. Slow down until it passes you. B. Drive to the right side of the road and stop. C. Motion for the emergency vehicle to pass you. D. Merge into the right lane and continue driving. B. Drive to the right side of the road and stop. Yield the right of way to any approaching emergency vehicle that is using its flashing lights or siren, regardless of its direction of travel. You must immediately drive to the right side of the road and stop until the emergency vehicle has passed. If you are within an intersection, pass through the intersection before coming to a stop on the right side of the road. When two vehicles enter an intersection from different highways at the same time, which vehicle must yield the right of way? A. Either one. B. The vehicle on the left. C. The vehicle on the right. D. Neither. B. The vehicle on the left. At intersections that are controlled by signs or signals and at intersections that are uncontrolled, the driver on the left must yield the right of way to the driver on the right when two vehicles arrive to the intersection at the same time. This sign means A. Pedestrians ahead. B. End of construction zone. C. School crossing ahead. D. Flagger ahead. D. Flagger ahead. This sign indicates that there is a flagger ahead controlling traffic in a construction area. Which of the following statements is true? A. It is okay for drivers of other vehicles to follow motorcycles closely. B. A motorcycle with two people on it is more balanced than a motorcycle with just one rider. C. The driver of a passenger vehicle must change lanes completely when passing a motorcycle. D. Drivers of other vehicles can expect a motorcycle's brake lights to turn on when the motorcyclist slows down. C. The driver of a passenger vehicle must change lanes completely when passing a motorcycle. Motorcycles are entitled to the width of a full lane. Be sure your vehicle is entirely in the left lane before attempting to pass a motorcycle on the left. You are driving on a highway divided by two solid yellow lines. You may A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. B. Cross these lines to pass other vehicles, but only if there is no oncoming traffic. C. Cross these lines under no circumstances. D. Cross these lines only to make a U-turn. A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. Double solid yellow lines are used to mark roadways where passing is prohibited from both directions. You may cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. This sign means A. All traffic must turn. B. Turn right at the intersection. C. Parking area ahead. D. Crossroad ahead. Watch for traffic. During adverse weather and traffic conditions, or increased driving speeds, keep a following distance of A. 3 seconds. B. 4 seconds. C. 5 seconds. D. 6 or more seconds. D. 6 or more seconds. The more distance between your vehicle and others, the more time you have to react to possible hazards. Keep a following distance of 6 or more seconds during adverse weather and traffic conditions. You must yield to other drivers. A. When entering a street from a garage or alley. B. When they are on a road to your left and you have reached an unmarked intersection at the same time. C. When your traffic signal is a green arrow. D. All of the above. A. When entering a street from a garage or alley. You must yield to other drivers when entering a street from an alley, driveway, or garage. You must also yield to pedestrians who are on an intersecting sidewalk. This sign shows one type of A. Intersection. B. Road curve. C. Right turn. D. Lane change. A. Intersection. This sign indicates that an intersection with a crossing road is ahead. If a driver sees an animal on the roadway, A. No special action is required. B. The driver should honk their horn. C. The driver should pass the animal as closely as possible. D. The driver should be very cautious. D. The driver should be very cautious. Be very cautious anytime you encounter an animal on the roadway. Pass the animal slowly to avoid startling or frightening it. This sign means A. Continue at your current speed. B. You must stop ahead. C. Speeding is not allowed. D. There is a traffic signal ahead. How can you lower the risk of hydroplaning? A. Do not speed when the roads are wet. B. Use tires with proper air pressure. C. Replace tires with bad tread. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Hydroplaning happens when a vehicle glides on top of a thin layer of water between its tires and the road. Tires with low air pressure or bad tread can increase the risk of hydroplaning. Speeding also increases the risk. Certain highway signs require drivers to obey an indicated instruction. Such signs are known as A. Regulatory signs. B. Warning signs. C. Information signs. D. Guide signs. A. Regulatory signs. Regulatory signs require drivers to obey an indicated instruction. Failure to comply is subject to penalty. Unless otherwise posted, the maximum speed limit on freeways is A. 45 miles per hour. B. 55 miles per hour. C. 70 miles per hour. D. 85 miles per hour. What can you do to avoid the need to make emergency stops while driving in traffic? A. Honk your horn to make others aware of your presence. B. Look ahead and maintain a safe following distance. C. Drive in the right lane only. D. Drive more slowly than the flow of traffic. B. Look ahead and maintain a safe following distance. Keeping a safe following distance will enable you to react to an upcoming problem without the need for an emergency stop, which could cause a driver behind you to crash into the back of your vehicle. This road sign means A. Hunting area. B. State park. C. Deer crossing. D. Wildlife preserve. C. Deer crossing. This sign warns that deer cross the roadway in the area. You should slow down, be alert, and be ready to stop. When approached by an emergency vehicle that is using its siren and/or flashing lights, a driver must immediately A. Pull to the right and stop. B. Pull to the right and slow down. C. Pull to the right and turn on their vehicle's four-way flashers. D. Stop and let the emergency vehicle pass. A. Pull to the right and stop. When you are approached by an emergency vehicle that is using its lights, sirens, and/or other warning devices, you must immediately drive to the right side of the road and stop. Signs that are colored orange are: A. Work zone signs. B. Regulatory signs. C. School zone signs. D. Guide signs. A. Work zone signs. Highway work zones are established according to the type of work underway along the roadway. Signs in work areas are typically diamond-shaped, orange, have black letters or symbols, and serve as a warning that people are working on or near the highway. This road sign means: A. One-way road. B. No right turn. C. Exit. D. Sharp right turn in the road ahead. A single broken yellow line down the center of a two-lane road indicates: A. Lanes are moving in opposite directions and drivers are not permitted to pass. B. Lanes are moving in opposite directions and drivers are permitted to pass when it is safe to do so. C. Lanes are moving in the same direction and drivers are not permitted to pass. D. Lanes are moving in the same direction and drivers are permitted to pass when it is safe to do so. B. Lanes are moving in opposite directions and drivers are permitted to pass when it is safe to do so. Yellow lines are used to separate traffic moving in opposite directions. Dashed lines indicate that drivers directly next to the line are permitted to pass when it is safe to do so. When you are in a line of traffic that is crossing a railroad track that has no signals or gates: A. You have the right of way and do not need to check for trains. B. You may pass slower drivers while crossing the track. C. You need to make sure there is space for your vehicle to get all the way across the tracks without stopping. D. All of the above. To ensure that your physical condition does not cause you to drive in an unsafe manner, you should: A. Keep physically fit and have regular physical examinations. B. Know the effect of any medicine on your driving ability. C. Drive within your physical limitations. D. All of the above. Fill in the blank. Greatly increase stopping distances and severity of crashes. A. High speeds. B. Slow speeds. C. Night drives. D. Uphill inclines. A. High speeds. High speeds greatly increase stopping distances and severity of crashes. The faster you drive, the greater the impact or striking power of your vehicle, should you be involved in a collision. You come to an intersection with a flashing red light. You must: A. Slow down and drive carefully through the intersection. B. Turn either right or left, since the road is blocked ahead. C. Stop at the intersection and wait for a flashing green light. D. Stop at the intersection, then proceed as traffic allows. This sign means: A. Two-way traffic. B. Lane shifting. C. Low clearance. D. Added lane. A. Two-way traffic. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers that they may encounter traffic coming from the opposite direction. This sign means: A. Steep downgrade. B. Crossroad ahead. C. No right turn. D. Narrow bridge. A. Steep downgrade. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers about an upcoming steep hill. They should adjust their speed accordingly to avoid brake damage or collision. If an officer is directing traffic at a working traffic light, drivers should A. Follow the directions indicated by the traffic light. B. Follow the directions given by the officer. C. Honk at the officer. D. Check to see what the cars next to them are doing. B. Follow the directions given by the officer. Traffic signals are placed at intersections to keep traffic moving and to help prevent crashes. Drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists must obey these signals, except in instances when an officer is directing traffic. When approaching a traffic signal displaying a steady yellow arrow, drivers A. Should merge into a lane in the direction of the arrow. B. Should slow to a stop, if it is safe to do so. C. May turn left after yielding to oncoming traffic and pedestrians. D. Have the right of way and may expect oncoming traffic to stop for them. B. Should slow to a stop, if it is safe to do so. A steady yellow arrow indicates that a red arrow is about to appear. Stop unless you are already within the intersection. This road sign means A. Side road. B. Keep to the side indicated by the arrow. C. You may drive in the left lane. D. You have the right of way. B. Keep to the side indicated by the arrow. This is a keep right sign. It indicates that a traffic island, median, or barrier is ahead and that drivers must keep to the right of it. An arrow painted on the pavement means A. Drivers in the proper lane may make the movement indicated by the arrow, if they choose to do so. B. Drivers in the proper lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow, but only if traffic lights are not working. C. Drivers in the proper lane must always come to a complete stop before making the movement indicated by the arrow. D. Drivers in the proper lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow while following directions indicated by traffic signals. D. Drivers in the proper lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow while following directions indicated by traffic signals. An arrow painted on the pavement within a traffic lane indicates that drivers in the lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow. Drivers should follow directions given by any traffic signs or signals before proceeding in the direction indicated by the arrow. Driving at night requires increased caution because A. Traffic moves faster at night. B. There is a larger volume of traffic at night. C. Drivers cannot see as well at night. D. Accidents occur more frequently at night. C. Drivers cannot see as well at night. Because it is dark, drivers cannot see as well at night as they can during the day. From 1/2 hour after sunset until 1/2 hour before sunrise, or at any other time when persons or vehicles are not visible for 500 feet, drivers must use their headlights. Always signal when A. Changing lanes. B. Pulling into or out of a parking space. C. Pulling into traffic from a parking area or alley. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Your turn signals should always be used when you make any movement to the left or right. You should use your signal when pulling into traffic from a curbside parking space, moving into a new lane, or passing another vehicle. This sign means A. No U-turn. B. Two-way left turn. C. Minimum speed limit. D. No parking. A. No U-turn. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. Wherever this regulation sign is posted, U-turns are not permitted. When two vehicles arrive to an intersection at the same time, which one has the right of way when no signs or signals indicate rules? A. The car approaching from the right has the right of way. B. The car approaching from the left has the right of way. C. The car in which the driver sounds his horn first has the right of way. D. The car that is traveling the fastest has the right of way. A. The car approaching from the right has the right of way. At an intersection of two similar roads without a traffic control device, a driver must yield to a vehicle approaching from the right. As alcohol builds up in your blood, it A. slows down your reactions. B. makes you feel less confident. C. begins to metabolize itself more quickly. D. decreases the number of driving errors. A. slows down your reactions. As alcohol builds up in your system, it will slow your reactions, make you feel more confident, and cause you to make more errors.